Sorry. Third module we have started. We have seen that transformer is the one of the most important piece of apparatus, right? And it is very important for the purpose of transmission of electricity at different voltage levels, right? And also we have seen that it is very essential for the uh, uh, for having a different voltage levels. How particularly alternating current power supply, AC power supplies. We have AC power at different voltage levels. Transformer is a must. So this transformer, I can step up the voltage. It can step down the voltage. Okay. Now we have also seen that the input as well as output of the transformer both are electrical. Okay. So this is what you must keep in mind. Okay. Transformer input as well as output both are electrical. Right. And the transformer works. Also, we have seen that the transformer works on the principle of what is the principle? Hmm? Hello. ఎవరో మాట్లాడుతున్నారు, that is completely tell me, someone is speaking, Bhogendra or mutual induction. So mutual induction is the principle of operation for our transformer. Okay. So the important thing is input and output both are electrical energy only. Okay. Input energy is electrical energy, output is energy is also electrical energy. That you should not forget. Okay. Now, what about the what else we have seen? Transformer, right? Mutual induction. First we have seen, right? So what is the? Let us see what is this mutual induction. See. Mutual induction. First of all, we see self induction. We see self induction is a, for example, you have a coil like this, and you supply a current through this. Okay, it is having say n turns, right? Now, if it is a, say, I of t, let us take I of t, it varies with time. Function of time varies with time, right? So the phi of t, flux produced by this current, also varies. Okay. So that means every conductor, whether a coil or not a straight conductor, when it is getting some current, it produces some mutual flux around it, some flux, magnetic flux around it. There will be magnetic flux around it. Okay. Magnetic flux. Every current carrying conductor, whether the current is a constant current, time varying current. Okay. So if the current is a if the current is time constant, is constant one, it produces a constant flux. If the current is a time varying one, it produces time varying flux. Okay, so now what is the importance of this time varying flux is the importance of this time varying flux is, or whether it is a constant or time varying, how it will make a difference. That is what we are going to see, right? So if this flux is a time varying flux, for example, so with the constant flux there is no EMF induced. See, with the constant flux, d phi by dt is equal to 0. So by Faraday's law, n d phi by dt is equal to man EMF, right? So because this is 0, so EMF is equal to 0. Okay. Now here, the flux produced by this I of t, say it is a time varying flux. Okay. So this is I of t. So this phi of t links the conductor coil turns. Okay. So because of this because of time varying nature of flux, a coil will have induced EMF. Because of current it is carrying. Okay, so that is what this figure I'm talking about, right? So for example, if you have a coil, it is carrying a current I amperes, sorry, see, I of t. So I of t comes out, so you will have a V of t produced across the coil because of the flux produced by the current that is flowing through the same inductor, a coil. Okay, so this is called V of t is a self-induced EMF, but whereas mutual induced EMF, what about this mutual induced EMF? Yes, when you have a current carrying conductor, say so this is carrying a current of I of t, right? And it is producing a flux. Say it is producing a flux, magnetic flux around it, and this flux is also time varying nature, having a time varying nature. Now, if we keep a coil, another coil uh, near this coil, first coil, so whenever this flux links, so because of the flux linkage, flux linking this second coil, right? You will have an induced EMF then also. Okay, so this plus and minus V of t. Okay, so this V of t is a mutually induced voltage or EMF. Okay, you will have a, say this, let us say V2 of t, and this is, you will have V1 of t here. Okay, so V2 of t is called mutually induced EMF. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
So transformer works on the principle of this. So this V2 of t is given by, say this coil is having N2 turns. First coil is having N1 turns. So N2 into d by dt of, say let it be phi 1 of t. Okay, so then this is phi 1 of t is equal to V2 of t. Okay, so this is mutually induced EMF, right? So in our transformer, when we come to a transformer, in our transformer, T slash F stands for transformer. Okay, in a transformer we will have two coils. Okay, so this is the symbol of a transformer, circuit symbol. Okay, the two lines between these two parallel lines, they talk about the core they are having. So core, magnetic core or iron core, core of the transformer, right? These two coils stands for two windings. Okay, so this one and this one, windings of transformer. Okay, so this is a basic simple circuit symbol of a transformer, right? So you can have a number of turns, n1, you can have n2, like this, right? So if n1 is greater than n2, if one coil, first coil is having more number of turns than the second coil, it is called high high voltage winding. High voltage winding. And coil 2 is coil 1. Coil 2 is called low voltage winding. Okay, clear? Is there any doubt in this? Hmm? Okay, next up, constructional details. Construction detail. After we finish the construction details, we will go into the EMF equation of the transformer, right? So construction, as a part of I have already explained that it will have two coils, right, to have mutual induction, one and one core, right? So for generally this the transformer will have a core, basically core. You might have seen these diagrams already. Have you seen transformer, right? So this is a iron core and this is coil, two windings, right? So we actually show these two windings are not touching each other physically, right? But in actual uh, transformers, practically these two windings are very closely wounded together. Okay, even one coil upon another coil, so that the flux linking, the mutual flux will be very high. Okay, so this is a coil one, coil two. So this is core, iron core, generally made of iron core. Also, it is also laminated. Okay, that means you will have sheets of this shape, iron sheet. Okay, so this is a, it's not a solid core. So okay, so this is a iron core. So this is also a laminated one. That means these are all laminations, thin sheets screwed together. So like this, the sheets are. So you will have holes here, right? Holes for tightening these sheets of lamination. Okay, right. In actual practice, okay, this is one transformer, simple construction. Here, it will have a stand like this. This entire thing is inserted in a box. Right, so these you can see outside in the streets uh, something like this, made up of porcelain material. Okay, so these are called bushings. These are made of porcelain. Okay, these are made up of porcelain. So this core, this is a metal container, right? Inside of this container, you will have entire oil, the big transformers which we use for power transmission, which you see near your apartment, right? For the purpose of power supplying to the apartment, they will all have oil filled like this inside. Okay, so that insulation oil. So what is this? What this is? The oil is called insulation or cooling. circulating and coolant oil. Okay, so because this when transformer is carrying a current, right, the windings gets heated, the core gets heated, so that the heat should be taken away, uh, right, before the windings get overheated and get melted, right. So for the purpose of cooling as well as isolating the core from the metal tank, metal container. Okay, so metal container should not be connected to the coils because they are carrying current. Okay, and also you can see a tank, a, a warhead tank. Sorry, it's a small tank, the transformer, right? So this is called a conservator tank. Because of this heating of the coils, the oil surrounding the coils will get heated up. And what happens to a heated liquid? It expands, right? So the expanded oil will enter into this tank. Okay, so it gives room for the oil to have expansion. Otherwise, what happens? The metal container, right, will be under pressure, right? The oil may, if the container is not able to hold the volume of that oil, it will cause some problem, right? So this is what you see in a transformer construction, right? So you will have two coils, a magnetic core, laminated magnetic core, right? So there will be oil surrounding this uh, uh, core and core, right? And the coils also, right? So this oil is not a conductor; it is insulating oil. Okay, and it works. It serves two purposes, right? First one is it isolates, it insulates the winding and core, right, from the uh, tank and other parts, right. So these porcelain bushings are to bring out the terminals of the windings, okay, from the tank to outside so that we can connect, right. So here one more thing you have to understand is that the winding, so the winding is also insulated. Okay, that means current flowing through windings are coils, right. So that will not flow through the core and windings are isolated, insulated from each other. Okay, so this is the construction. Okay, so every winding, first winding and second winding, both will have a thin layer of insulation, right. So the current flowing through the coil, which flows through the coil only, it cannot enter the core. If it enters, what happens? That leads to some problems. Okay, if it enters the core, it will pass through the second coil also, right. So that is not a mutual induction, then it is called. Okay, that is not a mutual induction. So coil 1 and coil 1 and coil 2 are electrically isolated. Isolation, quarantine, these terms are very much familiar these days, right. electrically isolated. That means this, the current that is flowing through coil 1 will not flow through coil 2, like that, right? So for example, if you are let us consider the two coils of the transformer. So it's a symbol I am drawing here. Okay, I1. You, if you are, for example, say I1 is given input to say coil 1 or winding 1, winding 2, sometimes we call, right? This is called primary coil or primary winding. Say this is output to electrical output, electrical input, right? So the from say the current flowing through the winding 2 is say I2. Okay, so this coil 2 is called secondary coil. So supply to which winding, the winding which receives electricity is called a primary coil. So the primary coil can be high voltage winding or low voltage winding depending upon a number of turns it will have. Okay, so it can have N1 turns, it is having N2 turns. If N1 is greater than N2, then it is called high voltage winding. Okay, N1 is called coil 1 is called high voltage winding. Or if N2 is greater than N1, then coil 2 is called a high voltage winding and coil 1 is a low voltage winding. Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Right. So that is the construction details of a transformer. Okay, so now is there any doubt among this in this information given to you? Hello.
No doubts.
So this type of a coil, say types of constructions, I will say. Types of cores or types of transformers based upon types of transformer based upon core used. First one is core type, second one is shell type, right? So core type is nothing but what you have seen previously. So it will have a core like this. Okay, the windings are wound around a okay. Next second coil 2 is so this is coil 1, right? Like this, the winding will be actually like this. I have drawn a one black color and one red color to identify that there are two windings, right? But actually, how it will be is if we consider one leg like this, say, you will have a windings wound like this. So this is a primary coil, and secondary coil is taken and it is wound over this. Okay, some part of the primary is on a left side leg of the core, and some part is on the right side leg of the core, right? So one winding over another winding is done actually, right? So okay, the shape of this core is this a core with this shape, rectangular. This is called a core type transformer. Okay, so whereas another type of shell type is you will have This clear? Sorry, this is not required. This is shell type transformer. Please write once again. So in this, the winding will be okay. Coil 1, so coil 2, it seems that both windings are connected, but they are the current in one the current that is flowing in one winding cannot flow into the another winding. Okay, right? This is shell type transformer, core type transformer. So core type are for big capacity or large big capacity transformers. These are for small capacity, small transformers. Shell type is preferred for small type transformers. Core type is preferred for large type, big capacity for power transformers, which use for kilowatts and megawatts of power. Right, to handle kilowatt megawatts of power, these core type transformers are used. Right. So anyhow, all the cores, every core is a laminated core only. You can open a small transformer available in your lab, right? Electronics lab. You can come and see that the cores, the laminations also you can see. If you are having a old type tube lights, fluorescent lamp, which will have a choke. Nowadays we are getting LED tubes, right? So, and the old fluorescent lamps or tube lights, so you will have a choke, nothing but a coil. So that choke will also have a iron core along with the winding. The iron core is also a laminated core. Whenever there is a core, always it's a laminated core. So what is the purpose of lamination of the core in DC machines or rather AC machines? What is the purpose? To
reduce hysteresis.
Lamination of core, whether
from electrical contact,
whether DC machines or AC machines, is for reducing iron loss. That is particularly eddy current loss. Okay, so this must be kept in mind. Okay, wherever you see the laminated core, it's to reduce iron loss only. So there are different another type of core is there, stepped core. That is not for you, right? You are sufficient to learn these two. Okay, stepped cores are there. Whether it not a core type or not a shell type, you will have steps, right? So that is a advanced one that you do not require. Okay, so if you have any doubt in this, you can ask. What? No doubt. So let's go to the EMF equation of a core is not for the purpose of reducing the hysteresis loss. It is for reduce eddy current loss. Okay, hysteresis loss is caused by the reversals of uh, magnetic reversals. It is called magnetic reversals. In DC machines, the core is a iron core of the armature is magnetized by south pole for certain duration, and after half of the duration, and for the remaining half of the duration, it will be magnetized by a north pole. Okay, so that's why the previous energy which is used to magnetize the core in south as a south pole is gone, and now another energy is utilized to magnetize the core as a north pole, and this will also will go after some time, right? So like this, the core will be magnetized as a south pole for half of the duration, and for the next half duration it will again magnetize as north pole, next again south pole, next time north pole, like that. It is called magnetization and demagnetization, like that. So this is a called magnetic reversals. Okay, so let us go to EMF equation. Okay, EMF equation of transformer. So let us consider let N1 be the number of turns of primary winding, and N2 be number of turns of secondary winding. Okay, so let phi maximum, it is a maximum flux in core in Webers. Okay, and this maximum flux, phi maximum, is given by flux density into area, B maximum into area, where B maximum is what are the units of density? And A is a cross sectional area of the core. Okay, so when you multiply magnetic flux density with the area of the core, you will get a flux. This is in meter square. Flux density is in Webers per meter square. Okay, flux density units are Webers per meter square. Area of the core is a right. Now F frequency of a EAC input in hertz. Okay, that means I will draw the diagram of the transformer here. You're having a for the purpose of clarity, I will show windings on a separate legs. So this left side coil is having N1 turns, second one N2 turns. Okay, so now here we have seen that the flux density in the core, right? So the flux produced by coil 1 is a established in the core itself, right? So now this is what we are talking about, right? So this is supplied by a voltage. Current I1 enters into the coil, right? So this is having a frequency of f hertz. Frequency of hertz, okay? And the flux density in this core, right? This is a maximum flux density in the core. The flux produced by this current is established in this core, okay, like this. So actually, if you have a core like this, you will have a flux established. See, the winding is like this. The flux will be established outside of the core also, like this. Okay. Not only complete 100% of flux will not be established in the core, because the core offers see, most of the flux are established in the core because it offers less opposition for the flux, just like a resistance is offered by conductors for the flow of electrons in them, or flow of current flow, passage of current. Similarly, the magnetic flux is analogous to electric current. Okay, so when you have a magnetic flux, the magnetic materials will offer a lower opposition for the establishment of flux. They offer low opposition for the passage of flux. Okay, that's why they are called magnetic materials, right? So this is a what we are talking about. So the maximum flux density Bm into area, it gives the maximum flux established in the core because of the current. So N1 is the number of turns of primary and N2 is number of turns of secondary, right? So this flux, because this is sinusoidal current we are given here, not a DC current, right? So let us the sinusoidal current produces a sinusoidal flux. So I am drawing here the flux wave. Okay, so here this is a 5 maximum value. Sinusoidal function, how much is maximum? Sine wave 1, right? 1 and -1, right? Negative value is minus, positive value is 1, right? -1 and +1. So this is a period. Okay, and this is time. This is called 1 cycle. Okay, sinusoidal current will have a positive half cycle and a negative half cycle, right? And this duration is T/2, right? Now this is a flux. This is a waveform of flux. Okay, now let us see this duration when this T/4. Okay, so this waveform is symmetrical about x-axis. The shape of the curve above the x-axis is identical to the shape of the curve below the x-axis. That's what is called a symmetrical wave curve about x-axis, right? So flux. So if you see from this in this graph, if you see the flux increases from its zero value. So zero value, so it increase up to t by 4, right? So from the graph, from the curve of wave, flux wave or curve, it is clear that what is clear here, the curve in this magnitude of flux increases, right? So flux magnitude of flux increases from zero value to how much? 5 maximum. And how much duration? How much duration? How much period it is increasing from 0 to maximum value? In t by 4, right? So 1/4 of the cycle. Okay, that is in a how much? In terms of frequency, can we write t is equal, it is in t by 4 duration, it will increase, right? That is in 1/4 second. Sorry, this is 1/4 second, right? So that is how the flux changes. Therefore, average rate of change of flux is equal to 5 maximum by 1/4. Average rate of change of flux, how can we calculate? Is clear, right? So what is the change? 5m from 0 value to 5 maximum. 5 maximum by 0, 5 maximum minus 0 divided by, I can write minus 0. Sorry. Minus 0 divided by 1/4f. This is by 1/4f. So that is equal to 4f 5m Webers per second, right? So is all R, it is volts in volt. Average rate of change of flux, we are calculating according to Faraday's law. Rate of change of flux, or whenever the current flux linking a conductor changes, you will have induced EMF. So how much flux is changing here? 4f 5 maximum, right? So now rate of change of flux per turn means induced EMF in volts. Okay, so therefore average EMF per turn. Turn means winding turn. Winding will complete one turn around the core. That is right. If if you wind the one coil, complete one turn around the core, that is called one turn. So it will, right? We consider turns here. So this is equal to 4f 5 maximum volt. If flux varies sinusoidally, the RMS value is we consider here. RMS value is equal to maximum value divided by root 2. This is the RMS value of a sinusoidal waveform. RMS value, average value, you can find out using your mathematical formula. RMS value, root means square value, right? So 1 by t integral 0 to t f of t whole square dt. Root is there, 1 by t, mean value is there, square f of t whole square is there, right? Root means square value is called effective value of a, okay? Now here another relation is there, RMS value divided by average value is called form factor. We utilize this form factor here to obtain RMS value. So RMS value is equal to form factor multiplied by average value. We are interested about RMS value because RMS value is the effective value of a sinusoidal current. Effective value means, why do we talk about effective value here? Because the waveform is changing, right? It is the waveform of the current will be like this. One time, sorry, the waveform of the current, sinusoidal current will be like this. It will be changing continuously with time, right? So how much value you can say, you can talk about this. What is the value of this? So at 0 it is 0 value, 0 amperes. At say it is say some 100 amperes. Right here it is having some minus 100 amperes. In between some here it is 50 amperes. What is the value of this? So you cannot talk about the value. That's why we talk about the RMS value or average value or peak value. Right? For alternating voltages, you get 230 volts or 220 volts in your home, right? That is the RMS value of the voltage. Okay, the 220 volts we get in our homes is the RMS value of the voltage, not a peak value. So, right, that's why the RMS value is important for sinusoidal alternating currents and voltages, right? So now we'll have RMS value of EMF per turn. We have found how much, what is that? Average EMF per turn. This is average EMF per turn.
Sir, time complete.
Right, 1 minute, please. RMS value of EMF per turn is equal to, how we will get a form factor into average value. That is, form factor is 1.11 for this 4F 5 maximum volt. EMF induced per turn. This is right. So this is EMF induced per turn. So EMF per turn you have to keep in mind here. Right. So if you have n turns, right, RMS value of EMF induced in primary winding is equal to how much turns it is having? N1 into 1.11 into 4F 5 maximum volt. So that is E1, induced EMF E1. So E1 is equal to 4.44 F 5 maximum N1 volt. So 5 maximum is equal to 4.44. 5 maximum is B maximum into area. Okay, so this is the EMF equation of a transformer. Similarly, E2 is equal to EMF of secondary winding is E2. Similarly, E2 you can have 4.44 into F into N2 B maximum volt. That is same, no difference, right? So E1 by N1, this is equation 1, this is equation 2. E1 by N1 is equal to 4.44 F B maximum by area. E2 by En2 is equal to 4.44 F B maximum area. Therefore, you can write E1 by N1 is equal to E2 by En2. That implies N1 by En2 is equal to E1 by E2. Okay, I will stop here. So this is what the EMF equation. Equation 1 and 2 are EMF equation. You can write one EMF equation means that's it. Okay. Okay. Already I have taken 13 minutes extra. Sorry for the delay today because I wanted to complete it the equation because I have started it. Okay. Right. So I will end the session.